So today I've got two special guests in the studio. I've got the Pierce brothers here. They started out as street musicians busking around Melbourne, and now they are slowly but steady taking over the world. Guys.
We're like Pinky in the Brain.
Yeah. You've got a master plan.
That's right.
And it's a few minutes ago you were on stage here at EMUS. You did a seminar.
That's right.
How was it?
I was really scared. Yeah? I didn't know what to talk about. I was.
It was more of a lecture, talking about how we got where we were, and so when they introduced us and we walked on, and we just sort of looked at each other and said, "Do we start straight questions?" And I said, "Well, let's just do a song first." And then while I was playing the song, I thought, "Well, actually, why don't we start talking about what we're doing and how we do it?" And we sort of made it up as we went along.
Yeah, I walked on stage and didn't have a clear idea at all what I was talking.
We didn't even know how long we were supposed to talk for.
I think it went for over an hour.
Wow. There you go.
How about that?
Yeah, nice.
I'm going to go find out how long that went for. Someone will know.
So it was a very unique experience for you guys.
One of the first times I've done it,
Yeah.
Certainly.
Exciting. But let's go back to the beginning of your band. When you were younger, were you always experimenting with music, or did it come later?
No, we were always experimenting when we were younger. I think the first song I ever learned...
I wish we'd experimented with a better name.
Yeah, that's true. Pierce Brothers is, our last name is Pierce, and we're brothers. Surprise!
It wasn't very exciting. I kind of wish we'd changed it a while back. But we didn't.
But we're always experimenting, making different noises on things. Mum used to love to sing to us, and we used to love to sing along. And we always had great fun with music. We're always very interested.
Yeah, I saw some big influences for you guys: Simon and Garfunkel, Johnny Cash, and even Jack White. What is it that you find attractive in this music?
Johnny Cash, I just always loved his live sets, like at Folsom Prison or something, and he was just
attitude about him.
He just had attitude. That's what I really loved, and then whenever he played songs, it was a lot of attitude, and he loved to tell stories, and it was very that Western country vibe, very, very country. But then a lot of his stuff in his older years, it was fantastic. I mean, what he did with was it the
Trent Reznor, the 9 Inch Nails?
9 Inch Nails song, Hurt.
Yeah.
And he did a version of that,
haunting,
which was
beautiful version of it.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Simon and Garfunkel, obviously, because their harmonies and their lyric writing. I mean,
the
song I Am a Rock was just one of the most beautiful lyrically written songs that I've ever heard. And then Jack White. Actually, we first got into Jack White when the day that we landed in the Netherlands. Our manager... Last year, yeah. And our manager sent us Blunderbuss and said, "You got to listen to the album, you'll love him." We said, "Yeah, all right." We got to the Netherlands and that's all we had was that CD. And we were like, okay. We put it in the car and started listening to it. We just went, this is awesome. And so we've been, we've I think in the last year we've definitely gotten more electrics and experimented a little bit more with a harsher sound. Tried to get a little bit better at soloing, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So you started out as street musicians, and in the seminar you told that the strategy is to let people listen and stop to listen to your music.
Right.
Do you still use that technique on festivals where there are other people playing at that moment?
I think that's the most important technique that we've taken with us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not just the festivals, we're doing, this whole tour. There's something like 40 or 50 shows that stretch out for about 3.5 months. And
most of which are support slots.
There's only a couple of spots where we're the headliners. So if it's a festival, there's the built-in crowd. We go, okay, great. Some are there to see us, some don't know us, but they're there to see music. Most wouldn't know us. So, or a lot of the supports, they're there to see the guys after us, not us, but they're there. They want to see some music. And so,
let's try and give them the best show possible.
Let's go crazy. Let's climb on things. Let's have an acoustic duo where one of them is crowd surfing, Things like that people don't expect, that they'll walk away going, oh, that was a surprise. And the more people we can surprise, the better it'll be for when we come back next year and do some headline shows,
And hopefully
just
they'll
building
come to
the
see
brand.
us.
Yeah. You're playing the Pinkpop Festival this year. Are you excited about that?
I am
oh my god,
so excited. It's going to be like, the best part is that we're on the bill with, on the last day, and has all the names, and the Foo Fighters at the top, and then it goes, like Avicii, Sam Smith, and then right at the very bottom in the smallest writing, right, stay with me, is Pierce Brothers, yes, And then below that is and many more. And I'm like, yes!
We got named.
We got a real name.
Yeah. So you really achieved it because you sold
that was huge.
you sold over 40,000 EPs. I
Yep.
mean, how the hell did you achieve that on your own?
Busking.
Yeah.
We just went
Playing
busking
on the
every day,
street.
and we found out that we could sell a lot of CDs.
Our act was
Very
really
quickly.
catered for, like, we catered our act to
busking and to playing to an audience that doesn't know us.
Yeah, to moving merchandise to people who've never seen us. So that is
Yeah.
by surprising them, and that's really the aim of the game. I mean, it's not, it's to play a good show and to get, elicit a response out of people. Except doing it on the street with people who aren't there to get a response out of.
It was a great feeling to chase.
It made it so much better when you play festivals where they're waiting for that and they want that.
Yeah.
And so that's just it's we really focused on that, and I guess that's where all the CD sales came from.
I think that was one of the reasons last year why when we played Lowlands, and a lot of the crowd didn't know us, but we did do a lot of radio beforehand. We did Heel on the first day. We played on the third day, and there was we played to about 6,000 people or something like that.
Wow.
And then we found out later that night that we were the second highest selling act in merch at the entire festival, and we're like,
Yeah, we were pretty stoked.
You were the big guys on that festival.
We were so excited, and we just it was purely because we attached the same formula that what we do for busking.
Yeah. As we all know, there are many different Australian artists, such as Dan Sultan and also Corny Barnett, who is really hot at the moment.
She's great.
Yeah. Do you think that the Australian music culture is upcoming in Europe and America, or is it just a temporary thing?
I think there's always been a pretty good presence. Every few years you'll get, like 3 years ago, 2013, you would have had, Gautier doing his thing.
Mm.
A few years before that, Angus and Julia Stone had done really well.
Well, they still go. Yeah,
They're still going really well. I'm just thinking, with as far as worldwide hits, he had Big Jet playing Somebody That I Used to Know. You had Matt Corby doing Brother. I think there's a lot of really great artists. There's always a steady stream now. As for the ones who stay as the big, huge international artists, that's a different story. People still play a lot of Jet. They really had the staying power that. Then I suppose that's the interesting thing. Like the Temper Trap is another good example of people who had really great staying power. So there's definitely that market there, and there's always that great music coming out of everywhere, I think. But especially with Canadian Music Week, there was a lot of focus on the Australian acts, and looking at even some of the festival in Tilburg that's happening in July or June on the 28th. There's the three of the big, Xavier Rudd, Dub FX, us. They're all Australian, Victorian artists.
Mm.
So
I think it'll be very telling in about 10 years to see because there's a lot of Australian music that's coming out at the moment, like Flume, for example, and Chet Faker in the electro scene, which is very much based on the record and on radio play. And it'll be interesting to see how that staying power stays for someone like Xavier Rudd, Xavier Rudd's a very much a live band and a live presence. Yeah, and that's how he's gone well. Same as the Cat Empire. Their live show is spectacular, and that's how they've built up a big rapport in Europe. And it'll be interesting to see how that electro music in the last 5 years, how it stays around for the next 10.
Okay. Well, there's a new record coming. You are an experimental band with multi-instrumentalist things in it. What can we expect for the next record?
We got a couple of songs. We got some softer ones that's softer than we've sort of gone before. We're definitely going a little harder than we've gone. More blues. There's one of the songs, Take a Shot. That's
which is just straight up 12-bar blues, and we've never done a song like that before.
It's not 12-bar blues.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
It's blue. It's blues anyway. It's very blues. It's on the electric, and it's it's more political than we've gotten, and so it's a little more mean. So we're trying to get mean with it. We're trying to
just a little bit edgier.
Yeah, and just a little more visceral with even the lyrics that we use. We just want to try. Maybe not being the nice guys in a song.
No, I think
That's what I want to try and do.
I think
It may not work. We'll try it out.
on the first album, I think we're just going to go for a more mature sound in a lot of varied ways. So more edgier in some parts, and then try a hand and take a punt with going softer and still being confident enough to pull it off. I think that's going to be one of the main focuses on this new album.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in here.
Thank you very much for having us.
It was a lovely conversation, and I wish you good luck with your career.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Good on you.
Thank you very much.